Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Hey everybody, and welcome into another episode of Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. I'm Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host and wingman extraordinaire, Big Mike Fisher. We're coming to you live from the Philippines. Big Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
Tired. I was up late last night, coming back from Bohol. Really tired, actually.
Yeah, you had quite an adventure there, a boat ride and a truck drive and quite a bit. So, guys, welcome into the show. Want to make sure we are Bruce and Big Mike. Make sure you know who we are, and we're tackling this episode. We're talking about dating Filipinas, where Rise to Romance is the name of the show, Big Mike. And the Filipina tells the truth about dating foreigners. So we're going to introduce April Amolo here in just a few minutes, our producer, and she's been talking to a lot of Filipinas about what it's like, the questions they have, and then the expectations, the disappointments, and all of that aspect of dating a foreigner. So let's jump right in here. I want to get some of the announcements out of the way. I want to thank Grand Residence, the 360 Grill, 360 Bar and Restaurant upstairs, top of our location here where we're broadcasting from. We've got this great view out here of the pool, and we're actually at the pool deck here, the snack bar that they have here. Pretty amazing. The guys, Paul and Mark and all the guys here always seem to take good care of us when we come down here. I want to mention them. But Mike, we're gonna jump right in here here in just a minute. But I want to ask you, what's been going on this week with you?
Foreigner problems, man. I had a buddy that needed to move from Cebu.
You came to the right show,
man. That's another show in itself. Picking your friends here. This guy's an old guy. He's like 80 years old. Ended up having a problem with his wife and living situation, wanting to move. Called me up and asked me for help because I have a truck. And you got, when you come here, a lot of plan. Like, he had a big plan. You know what I mean? And then when he came here, the reality of it, 15 years later, shit doesn't work out. You gotta. When you come here and get old, there's no nursing home here. Now he's over there in Bohol, and he's not near anything. But I'm not there to talk him out of anything. I just helped him, and I think that's a lot of this thing with this show that I'm motivated about, is trying to facilitate our knowledge and our information to help people think ahead. You can't just look at 5 years down the road. If
you got a long-term plan to come here and stay, if that's your plan to stay here long-term, then you need to plan like you're going to stay long-term, because you're not going to be young forever. You might not be as mobile as you are forever. And while the bar scene is pretty cool, that's not a retirement plan. Right. We've been to a few bars, and you go in there and there's some 70, 80-year-old guy comes,
sloshing in.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
22-year-old.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, what kind of retirement plan is that?
He did it. He thought he did it right. I mean, he didn't get a very young woman. I mean, if I'm 54, I think she's my age. But when a foreigner gets older, their ideas on things change. I believe you get moody sometimes, and swear to God, I think sometimes the women think the guy will die, and they'll get everything, and then the guy ends up outliving them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that in this situation, I don't know, man. I'm gonna hold judgment on that, but. You know, you got to have a few good friends that you can call.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been friends with this guy 15 years, and he used to come from Bohol to here to Cebu for my kids' birthday parties. You know, and just an all-around great guy. But I tell you, man, he had nobody else in the world he could call. You know, and he called me. He's like, Mike, I hate to bother you. I know you're busy with the kids in school. Can you help me move? And I said, yeah. You just this is the days that I would be able to do it. And then I called my buddy in Bohol. And I said, look, I have a buddy that's going to go over there. You need to help him because he's 80 years old. Help him find a place and get situated. Pick him up at the pier. So he went on a recon mission over there and did that. And my buddy helped him, which he said, I can't believe this guy came and helped me like that. I never met him before and he treated me like you've known me forever. And I said, it's because I keep a solid group of friends.
Yeah, yeah. You need them here. You really need them. I've tried it both ways.
That's right. Who would you call? Me. Damn right.
Yeah.
I'll call you.
Yeah.
You know? So, and the guys that I have in my group, that's all I can. It has to be like that.
When I was over in,
I don't have buddies that can't keep up like
when
that.
I was over in Quezon Province,
Yeah.
I didn't have any friends, and no friends there. And you were in Cebu, so you were too far away to for anything that was immediate or local. And
I still came over there 2 times.
yeah, you did come over there 2 times, and the fact that but everything I went to go do, I had to pay out the ass for it to get somebody to help me with the simplest of things,
Yeah.
and then it still didn't get done
That's
right.
right. And life is a give and take, but here it can get. I try not to be a burden on my friends too. So when I call them for some help, it's going to be
something you
That's
really
right.
need them for.
In David's case, that's the same thing. He even said, Mike, I hate to burden you with this, and I knew, I'm the only one that he could call.
Yeah.
So when guys come here and they get these, I don't know what the term would be, a rainy day friend that, an acquaintance, I've cut them off. I had those.
Yeah.
Within the last year or two, I stopped messaging them. If they messaged me, because I realized that I don't need that.
Yeah.
Because here, this is a tough environment, to be alone.
Yeah.
If you don't have some solid friends here, it's a tough environment to be alone because in the U.S., if you get old, you just go to a nursing home. You just say, you know what, I've had enough. You cash out.
Well, it's funny because you're absolutely right. So guys, when you come here, don't cut off. Make some friends locally
right.
and that sort of thing.
And not drunk buddies. They can't help you. They won't come and help you.
And the other side of it, it's like the Zach Brown band song "Toes." The senoritas don't care when there's no dinero.
That's
So keep that in mind when you're doing your thing. Let's go ahead and jump into the show. Though we're calling it From Rice to Romance. A Filipina talks about the truth about dating foreigners, the questions that Filipinas have that they may not know about, and also the
Why is it becoming so popular?
Yeah.
To come here.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one of the big questions.
Yeah, and there's even a term been, passport bros and all that. There's the terminology and there's a vast number of reasons. A lot of guys that are older guys are looking to settle down. A lot of young guys come here just to vacation and whore around.
Yeah.
And then there's everything in between, young and old. So you get a lot of different reasons why guys come here. I know you came here permanently. I came here to stay here permanently. And but a lot of guys come, they stay 3 months, they stay 6 months, they may only stay a couple of weeks, and come back every year or whatever. So there's a lot of combinations, but I've always wondered been intrigued by the Filipino perspective, and got some questions too, and I know you do as well, about cultural differences and what they actually think about us and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and welcome in my sweetheart and producer of the show, April Amolo. April, how you doing?
Hello guys, I'm not really used to being in front of the camera.
Not on the camera,
I'm
yeah.
used to at the back, squeezing in something that they need secretly. But yeah, here I am. I'm gonna be roasted today.
Tell the audience how old you are, where you came from, where you're from, and that's a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, some kind of an interview. So you guys will know my real background. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna say it honestly, but yeah, I'm 35 years old. I live in Luzon area, which is another island here in the Philippines. But because I love this guy here, I tend to be the I don't have any permanent address now. My home is where he is. So, yeah, that's my little background.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, you and I have talked many times about Filipinas and their thoughts on. I've had a lot of questions for you over the years about dating a Filipina or having a relationship. Everything from just simply dating, on a short term to long term. Mike's been married. What? How many years? You've been here 14 years
15
or
years.
15 years. So
15th year.
yeah, Mike's been here 15 years, has a wife, 3 kids. So if anybody's actually had a successful interracial marriage,
And I was married to a Filipino before, so
Yeah.
this is not my first. And that was, I met her in the U.S. in Hawaii, so I would say it's not my first rodeo. And I've dated Filipinos my whole life. My first Filipino girlfriend was when I was 13.
yeah.
So I have different aspects of it, and also different. They all spoke different Philippine dialects. Pampanga, one was Kapampangan,
Bicolano.
everywhere.
Just to start, April, just a general perspective. It seems like there's a lot of Filipinos that are dating foreigners or hope to date foreigners. That's kind of like, you used to. I know you used to tell me about a saying that you had when you,
Yeah.
what was that?
We have a saying here in the Philippines, if we saw a Filipino with a foreigner, isa na naman po kababayan natin na nakaahon sa kahirapan.
What's the translation?
Well,
of that?
it translates with, it's like another Filipina was able to be lifted out of the mud. Or the
It's out of poverty. It's like the winning lotto ticket.
I would look at it like the opposite, really. It's knowing what I know now, 15 years into it. I think that it's tough, man.
Well,
I didn't come here I came here at 39.
Yeah, but at the beginning that a lot of Filipinos are looking at the money. On the
I
outside,
understand
but
that part. But
their
what I mean-
friends that are not in that
Sure.
relationship are looking at it saying,
That's
"Oh,
right.
well, she
And
worked for 300 pesos a day,
That's right.
and now she spends 300 pesos on
And what I'm saying is
a drink."
I see that most of the guys who come here are not in that level to lift people. You know what I mean? There's some. If you look at it, the percentages, there's a few girls that really hit the jackpot.
There's
and
a
the
big
rest of them are just
there's a big
tough
difference.
living.
Yeah, but there's a big difference
You can either
than
get a
here in
tough life with the
Cebu.
American guy or a tough life with the Filipino
Well, but there's a
guy.
big difference financially living here in Cebu and then somebody, a Filipino that's from a province somewhere. You get into Quezon province where they make 200, 300 pesos a day, and have to scrub laundry all day or something. So a guy that can afford, $10 for a meal is like winning a jackpot.
I think that's a tough life for the guy too, because the guy that gets the girl that's like me, the one from the province before, you end up in a different social setting also, where
Well, if you
are
stay-
looked at in that case,
Yeah.
as the rich guy who
Yeah.
shows up,
Yeah.
and everybody.
There's a lot of pitfalls to it either way. What is the difference? What is the number one difference that? First, we'll ask what is the difference in dating a Filipino and dating a foreigner or a white guy or whatever, as far as what is it that we'll get to the attraction part in a minute, but what is the difference? Do you set different expectations for each? Are you in it for different reasons when you date a Filipino? Or you've dated both.
Yeah.
You've dated before you dated me. You dated you've dated Filipinos. So what's the difference?
Well, in my perspective, this is just my experience, and I'm not telling that this is what all Filipinos have experienced, but with me, I begged my Filipino boyfriend before to date me, even in a point where the fishbowl,
Oh, you mean like
quick,
like go out somewhere?
go out somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
got
tend to
To actually
beg,
take you on a date.
but with especially with Americans, because this guy was American. When he said, "Let's go out for a date," that's a real date. Like eating in a fine restaurant, not using a
Like the
skewer,
Waffle House.
not
like, like the Huddle House.
Put your shoes on. We're
yeah,
going inside.
yeah, inside dining. Put your shirt on, baby.
yeah. But when I met Douglas, that's the time that I really experienced the real date. That you're gonna wear your night dress, you're gonna get ready, put your makeup on, do your hair, wear your heels if you're wearing a heels, go on a date. That's one of the reason why. That's the part of the differences between Filipino and American.
You know what's crazy? When I was in Florida, I dated a girl, and that she said the same thing about me being from out of town. She was like, "Guys here don't." So culturally,
Yeah.
there's parallels to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I would say like American girls have similar from guys that are outside, and the guys didn't like me when I got there because I was dating all the girls. From
Well-
that town. That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective of it.
One of the things that I've seen, and I've heard story after story after story, both good and bad. Mike's relationship with his wife is they have they have a good family relationship with your wife's family. The one you had before, the Filipino that you had before that, when you came here before, you had a bad relationship, or not a bad relationship, but it was
Tough.
taxing. It was a
Yeah.
taxing relationship
was
with it. Filipinos I've dated before, I did not have such a bad relationship with the family. Actually, I had a better relationship with the family than I did with the woman I was with. But I have heard nightmare stories. Guys, not understanding the culture, her not understanding the guy's
guy's
culture.
perspective.
Tell me a little bit about what the family expects, not just your experiences, but other experiences.
Yeah, I've known a lot of stories regarding that subject. I have friends that dated foreigners as well, and well, here in the Philippines, when you dated a foreigner, your family member, your relative, will see you, and you have the dollar sign in your eyes, ka-ching, ka-ching. They will always think that, oh, she hits the jackpot. We will be able to be supported financially. We will be able to buy 25 kilos of rice or 50 kilos of rice every week, not every month.
The big sack, baby.
Yeah. So,
Cano's paying for it. Get the 50 kilo.
financial stability is what the family, what the family really thinks when you're dating
I see that too. I see that too. Like that. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on the women.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's funny. Not her immediate family. Her immediate family has been great, but she had these phantom cousins that came out of the woodwork. Friends, I'm your third cousin from your mother's side, twice removed.
That's what happened.
Can I borrow 2,000
I tell that
pesos?
story all the time. I was at a public market, and this girl walks up to me and says, "I'm Nina's, 18th cousin, distant relative, and I want to go work abroad, but I need to do the
I need my
documents. Can you pay this?" And I was like, "Who? Are you serious?"
Well, I
Right out in the middle of a
remember
public market.
I have it's my ex-boyfriend's relative cousin. When me and my ex were together, I tried multiple times borrowing money from her, and then after they found out that we were dating, all of a sudden she messaged me and she was like,
payback.
"Hey girl, how are you? I heard that you're dating an American now." And I said, "Yeah. What's up?" And then she's like, "Can I borrow some money?" And he told me a script on what I needed to do if someone approached me like that. So we come up with a script that I'm always gonna tell you message Douglas. He's the one handling money.
Just ask him
Just
yourself.
ask him if he's gonna let you borrow
That
money.
seemed to end it, Big Mike. They didn't. Nobody wanted to ask me myself. You know.
In Beagle, they had no problem walking right up to me
Yeah.
in public and asking me,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, no, that's not how I want to spend.
Well, in my first girlfriend here, the relationship with her, the only thing they ever asked me for, it wasn't them. Her ex-husband, ex-partner, the father of her children, actually wanted me to give him roosters. You know, you and I both are well-known cockfighters here in the Philippines. He was asking if he could possibly have a brood trio or something, which I took as flattery. I was like, okay, I get it.
Well,
Now,
do you think? I think that another thing that boils down is setting your limits, like what we talked about, like your expectations.
Well,
I think that's like we got a little bit here. I think that one thing that I would tell people is to know where they're at. Like, you know, a lot of Americans come here and do want to help families.
yeah.
You know, and that's what I did. I came over to the first place in Bicol, and I started wanting to fix things.
Yeah,
You know, I painted inside the house, and
Yeah.
and I tell you, once you open the floodgates, you're susceptible. You become susceptible to more people asking. And I think that's why when I came here to Cebu, I told Pauline ahead of time, let's not live near your family. You know, get a place away from your family,
Yeah.
and that put some distance there.
Actually, that's the Filipina's job. You know, if you're Filipino and you're dating a foreigner, your main job or your main goal in the relationship is to protect your partner.
Exactly, and that's something that people
Yeah.
need to talk about when you're serious about somebody and you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
or you want to be in a relationship. This is one of the first things you need to talk about. Is, hey, you know, my money and your family. We need to talk about that because a lot of people have different
And
expectations.
it's tough. It's tough to talk about those
Oh,
things.
yes.
Well, and
People don't like to
on
talk
our
about
end
it.
as Americans or foreigners, I know most Americans anyway. I don't know everybody, but as an American, we're typically generous.
Yeah.
We typically want to fix a problem and impress, but then all of a sudden everybody's got a problem and everybody wants you to be their blessing from God, and you just can't do it all, especially if you're middle
Yeah. Well, that's-
middle class. Yeah, there's not an. I've learned the hard way. If you get yourself caught in that situation, there's not enough money that you can throw into that hole
Yeah.
and fill it up. We've had incidents, and don't get mad because I bring this up, but she actually had an ex-boyfriend
Oh yeah.
message her and ask her, he had a gambling debt or something, and want to know,
Yeah.
since you're dating the white guy, is it
Will you-
possible that you can loan me some money? Now, can you imagine being a dude and making that phone call?
See, that's
Desperate people do desperate things, man. You know what I'm
Desperate
saying?
people do
Yeah.
stupid things.
that's
I
the
mean-
difference between American and the Filipino.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, there's American guys that would do that too. You know, I know.
There's
a
a lot more here that would do it though
Yeah,
than
but I've lived in places, and but yeah, it is still odd. It's still something you would have to factor
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
In here.
What do you think about, you know, since we're kind of on the topic, and we're not beating up on Filipino men or whatever, but what do you think some of the reasoning is that Filipinas seem to be more and more drawn to dating foreigners? Is it the physical attraction? Is it the financial attraction? Is it our personalities are different? Because there's a lot of objections to it. There's a lot of downside. I mean, you speak really good English, and we still have language barriers
After
that
10
at
PM.
times, her English expires like a load on her phone. But what are some of the things that make Filipinas want to date white guys or foreigners, I should say?
First is stability. We wanted to be taken care of because most of the time in our life, Filipinas are the one taking care of their families. We
Culture.
Provider. You want
Provider,
to?
yeah.
They're looking for.
You're the financial provider.
the housemaker.
You're running the
Yeah.
budget for the household. You're the homemaker.
Yeah, and we wanted someone to take care of us, and knowing that we will have a roof over our head, we'll always have food on the table, and that's part of the reason why a lot of Filipinos now are drawn to dating a foreigner.
You know, and I think the accessibility of foreigners now, foreigners coming here, because American guys are known for being good providers.
Yeah,
They get up and
yeah.
go to work, and I think culturally now in the United States, being a good provider means nothing.
Yeah, that's
Whereas-
what we were talking about. Douglas and I were talking about in States, even if you're a good provider, you're still less than a
Yeah.
man you are. But here in the Philippines, when you take care of your woman,
Yeah.
provide everything for them, take care of them, women will make you a home.
Yeah.
Women will turn the grocery into food. Women will take care of you and treat you like a king. And part of the reason, a lot of the black women, we had a thing in the internet because black women are telling that, oh, you're getting a Filipino because they're submissive. You're just getting a maid. No, we're not.
The anti-passport
Bros, yeah.
Well, and we talked about that before the show, that I think that people who would think that about Filipino women are totally misled.
Well, they-
Filipino women, they're kind, compassionate, but I
Yeah.
tell you, if you you have to stroke them the right
Yeah.
way. You have to be gentle also, because if not, they can be just as mean and
Dangerous.
tough.
Well, they're very
Yeah.
passive. Filipinos are very passive aggressive in nature, anyway. And those same women that are complaining now about black men coming here and dating Filipinas were the same ones that were complaining about dating all the white chicks. A lot of black women don't like, don't like black men dating. I won't say a lot, but quite a few. I've seen a lot of complaints about that.
Yeah, and if I can add more on the question on
Sure.
why
Yeah,
Filipino
yeah,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
wanted to date foreigners is because we were we get excited on the possibility of things that we might be able to experience dating a foreigner. Because
Yeah.
I will be, I don't want to be a hypocrite, but part of the, I think of it and on the side as well is because if I date a foreigner, I will be financial stable. I don't
You'll be able to travel. You'll be able to
not-
experience.
not and then I'm not into traveling and experience sassy things, but more of it was on my part. I'm
Just
really
stable.
I wanted just I'm a very simple person.
Yeah.
Just be able to eat the food that I was not able to eat when I was working or when I was young, and being able to go to the grocery without checking the price.
And it's so weird. I've lived in so many places, and I don't even look at it. And before I came here, I thought about, I had that girl in Korea, and I went up there, and then I had the girlfriend in Japan. For me, personally, there's a lot of things I figured out now that I didn't even think about when I came here. I didn't, it wasn't in my, I came here just because the people were so nice and simple, I was like, I can live in this place and it's great. Whereas everywhere else, the culture was a little bit rough. So I think that coming here has, of course, a little to do with the women. I think culturally, the guys in the United States see Filipino women as being the type of women that do take care of their husbands, and I think that.
Do you think that
And appreciate them. That's the word I was looking for. They appreciate their husbands.
do you think the financial stability you talked about that? Do you think that can be misconstrued as
Being a gold digger.
as a gold digger? Yeah, is that where some of the because there's like today I went online, opened up my YouTube, I was pulling up shows that were similar to ours, looking to see who we're competing against, how they're doing out there, and then there was 10 right off the bat, 10 shows that came up that were all about
how not to get scammed by Filipinas. You know,
Well,
so there's a lot of people talking about Filipinos scamming guys. Do you think that the desire to be financially stable is getting misunderstood, or are there a lot of scams out there, women trying to scam men?
Well, there is a lot. There is a lot of Filipino the scamming American as well, but it's a like it's a
Is it a girlfriend situation that's
Well, that's
getting
the
money? Or are
thing.
you
It's
talking- because to me, I look at
Getting
divorce.
money and going away.
Yeah.
Getting the money and then not, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you start to talk to Filipina, and I know you tackled this before as well, but when you start to talk to a Filipina, and you're just talking to them for a few days or few weeks, and they already ask for your money, that's the time that you have to cut it off.
My mama's sick, my child is
Yeah,
sick,
because-
my electric's due, I can't pay my rent.
Yeah, because
you know.
that will be the trial and error for.
I need a new cell phone. I can't send you any pictures because my cell phone doesn't work.
No, that's also trial and error. There's two things behind that. One reason why Filipino do that is because they know that they can extort money out of you. Second is how willingly you are to help, and if you're willing to help them when really something came up, that means that you're really serious on dating them. So that's two reasons.
Well, the funny thing is when you go to their Facebook profile, it says, "No one can judge me but God. To God be the glory. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord, for all your blessings that I scammed out of the white guy." You know, if you check their profile, that's what you'll get.
I wanted to clear that out as well because not all Filipinos will do that.
No,
Yeah,
not.
it's
And
never
the-
happened to me.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
thing-
Yeah, but you came here. You came here, and you were with one woman, and you came here, and you were with one woman the second time, and you got married in a relationship. You haven't been online dating.
But both of those relationships I did meet online. Pauline I met, and when there was Yahoo, I met the two on Yahoo Messenger back in the day. But I was smart about it too.
Yeah, you have to be smart
I think
as
a
well.
lot of guys do. If you're sending all kinds of money.
Yeah,
But
Filipinas.
that's been over 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot's
Yeah, we
changed
didn't
in the
have
last.
PayPal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot's changed.
I had the Western Union.
Well, Philippines has PayPal now, and we can request any money
Yeah.
on someone
Yeah,
else's
sure.
PayPal. But the one of the reason as well is if you're a foreigner, you have to be vigilant as well when you're dating
Yeah.
someone online.
Well, that's what this show is about. Because I tell you, I was just going to say the reason is because I was around the military my whole life, and I'd heard stories when I was young, and then I was on active duty, and guys kind of said, "Oh, watch out for this." So I came here with a good game plan. And I think that's another thing. The guy and the women should both know what they
What
want
they
out
want,
of it.
yeah.
Because my wife is thankfully she's smart, because what I originally told her was, if you want to get married, I'm not the guy. She said, "Look, as long as you're a good provider, we don't have to be married." So I had bad experiences, everybody, and I'd heard things. But then when she got pregnant, I said, "Look, let's get married. That we're having a kid. Let's go ahead and get married." And we rolled with him. But one of the things is, my wife is an educated woman. She's an English teacher. But I told her, "Look, I know you have this college degree. Your dad spent all this money. But if you want to be with me, I don't want you to work.
Yeah.
Because I want a woman that stays with me all the time."
Well,
And she did. So she sacrificed that. And then so she was willing to sacrifice things. And then by living here, I'm sacrificing things, I think, because I could be in the United States, but I'm here. So I think that people should have a list of what they're looking for, their expectations out
Yeah.
prior to coming here.
And they have to be transparent when they're dating someone.
Yeah.
When you're dating someone, just like what you did.
And recognize red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't be naive.
we've talked about that before, and the having two Facebook profiles,
Yeah, multiple, actually.
multiple files, and that's that sort of thing. And we're going to get into a little bit of that. Guys, we are Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World, along with April Amolo today, talking about from rice to romance, talking about dating Filipinos and getting a Filipino perspective about dating foreigners and the truth about some of it.
And we're going to take a quick break here. I want to make sure that, to ask you, if you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe. 70% of our viewers are not subscribers. And guys, we're trying to get to that magical 1,000 subscribers, and we got a long ways to go. So if you guys enjoy the show, if you enjoy the type of topics we're doing, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and even the notification bell. And you can email us. You can comment in the bottoms. We will see it. Or you can email us at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. And if you got show ideas or comments, and we've gotten a lot of comments, Big Mike, and
we reply to them. I like that. I always
reply to them, and that sort of thing. We try to answer you back if you're asking a question or whatever. But the show is growing. We're brand new. This is only our 4th episode doing this. We used to do another podcast for 5 years, and we may throw some stuff in there eventually about that, or do another. I was hoping to do maybe twice a year or 3 times a year another top spur, just a commemorative type show or something.
Now.
But we got so many irons in the fire. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Don't give me more work. I wake up 4:30 every Monday through Friday.
Yep.
You're squeezing me.
Yep. So we're going to take a quick break right here, and when we come back, we're gonna dig into some of the things that go on, and some of the questions you might want to ask if you're dating. If you're wanting to date a Filipina, or you're a Filipina that's got questions about dating foreigners. So, guys, we'll be right back after this message. All right, guys, welcome back into the show. Bruce and Big Mike take on the world. I'm Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host here, Big Mike Fisher. We're coming to you live from the Philippines. We're waiting for the lights to kick on out here at the pool. It's getting dark on us, but you can see the pool there in Mike's side of the camera in the background. And we're joined by April Amoldo. April is our producer of the show. She's also my sweetheart, and she's also a Filipina that has dated a foreigner. That would be me, and has a lot of friends that date foreigners, and really understands that perspective. They've had conversation, talked about it many times, about the difference in dating Filipinos and foreigners, and the differences and the difficulties. It's not. There's give and take on all of it. Now, April will jump right in here. One of the concepts about Filipinas, and I'm not trying to be negative, so please don't write me nasty emails, everyone.
Write them.
Yeah, yeah.
Please address everything that Douglas.
Yeah.
Big Mike out of the shit.
One of the a lot of people think that, because Filipinas date older. Usually they date, you have Filipinas that date younger, but you see, a lot of times you'll see Filipinas with much older guys. There's 20 years between me and you. There's some age difference. How much difference between you and Pauline? 14 years. And that's not uncommon here to see.
That's a good age gap.
Well,
even in the United States, I think the women mature faster than men, and I think that when I was with women, so I was married 2 different times in the past, and I think men, well, in my case, I matured slower, because I had good wives. I was just too young and immature to appreciate having a good wife. And I think that when I got with my wife now, Pauline, when she was 25 and I was 39, I was ready.
I think American society looks down on that, though. Even still, I think that's
especially nowadays.
You're a cradle robber or whatever. You're a dirty old man.
Yeah.
But a lot of people look at that and say Filipinos have daddy issues. How do you address that? How do you say that? Why is there so many older, mature foreigners? Not just dating, but in a relationship with Filipinas. Is it daddy issues, or what is it?
Oh, yeah. We have daddy issues. No, part of it is because we wanted a mature guy.
You mentioned stability before.
Yeah, stability, and we wanted someone responsible enough. And, not really looking for fun when they come here in the Philippines. What they wanted is to have a family, a stable, retired life, and
Fun, but not bar girl,
yeah,
whoring around,
Well,
staying
that's
drunk all the time.
That's what I
Fun.
explain to people, the difference between here and Thailand. And I'll use the term sport club. In Thailand, when you go there, it's more of a cash-based system, whereas here, it's a relation-based.
yeah.
This is a better place to come if
Yeah,
you want a relationship, a long term.
relationship-based thing, and I think that and I think that the daddy issue thing would be a like a stability thing. Like when you're looking for a guy, you're looking for an older guy as that something solid in your life.
Well, is it stability being mistaken for daddy issues, or is
Is
it
it true daddy?
true daddy issues? Is it because you
Yeah.
didn't get enough attention
But
from your?
I could say my wife came from a good family, and when I say that, I mean the father and mother stayed married, forever until,
Yeah,
until
yeah.
Well,
the dad
but-
died, and he was a strict Filipino guy and didn't let his daughters run around, and but yet she chose me, and I mean. She didn't even have much of a relationship history before me, which I frowned upon. I didn't want a girl that didn't have any relationship history because I'm a tough nut to crack.
What is your perspective on it?
Well,
What do you think?
I really have, on my own perspective, I really have that issue. I grew up with a stepfather. I didn't meet my biological father not until
2 years
2 years ago,
Yeah.
which he sent me to go and meet my
I thought
biological
it would
father.
be good, mental health.
Yeah, 'cause
health.
you
Good.
feel like
Good for you
some-
emotionally.
Because you're a true American, you're a fixer. If you
Yeah.
think there's
Yeah,
an issue, you want to try to fix it.
yeah, because Americans,
Yeah.
you are like
No other.
Prince
national-
Charming, always wanted to
Make
rescue
your life
a damsel
easier.
in distress.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah. He sent me to meet my biological father because I'm having issues with myself.
Yeah.
I really think that something is missing in my life because I thought that that's the reason why I am who I am. When
She
we
felt
met.
she
when I
felt
met
that
her.
she dealt with that rejection. I'm not good enough, and and I think it all goes back. And I've seen stepkids that went through the same thing, even with a good stepfather, that went through the same thing, and say why
Yeah, you saw it
why.
firsthand because you had
Yeah, I had
that you treated
stepkids
like your own
yeah,
kid.
Well, and they, a lot of times, whether they got a good role model or not, they want to know deep down inside, emotionally, why did my biological
Yeah.
father reject me?
There's still-
Why am I 30 years old and have never met the man before?
Yeah. And even if you grew up in a family, even if your stepfather was good, treat you like his own kid, there will still be a part of me growing up like I'm still an outcast. And I really think that's part of the reason why I had issues when I met him. But turned out it's not. It's my own self-destructiveness that really messed things
Yeah,
up.
and I can relate because I can always say nobody can self-destruct as good as I can.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah,
had
me too.
a military dad. I had a great upbringing. Both my parents were around, and I still had a lot of issues with relationships. And like I said, that's why I'm glad my wife is smart because when I first got here, I still made a lot of mistakes, and luckily we were, I think in these foreign relationships, communication, the way we do things, we want to fix it. With my wife, whenever we'd have a problem, she would get quiet and wouldn't talk. And I'd be like, and she'd say, I don't want to argue. I said, I'm not arguing. This is how we're going to fix it. Otherwise, we're going to have the same problem in a week.
Well, yeah.
Thankfully, we evolved and she's able to communicate.
Well, also that's part of the disadvantages with dating a foreigner. Because in the Philippines, we grew up, especially if you're a kid, that you don't have a voice to talk back to your parents. Not even talking back disrespectfully, but saying you're
Having an opinion.
Having an opinion on something, we are not allowed to say that in our family. So when I started dating him, he will always ask me, what's wrong? If you don't tell me what you feel and what you think, I can think for you. You have to tell
I
me
can't
what
fix it.
I can fix it. Well, it's
Yeah.
really hard for me to find my voice. it, you know,
Yeah, it's taken her. It's taken her.
yeah, taken me a long time.
Couple of years to get to where she could actually tell me what was wrong.
Yeah.
She was very she kept everything inside, and I don't like that. I'm a communicator. I want you to tell me. My mom used to always say, "Oh, you're always the knight on the white horse wrestling or rescuing the damsel in distress."
Well, also that's part of the reason why, for me, I prefer to date a foreigner rather than a Filipino as well. Because when you date a Filipino, if you get into an argument, what we're giving to a foreigner, the silent treatment, they will also give that to us.
Yeah.
And when I asked, especially my ex before, I asked him, what's wrong? And you know what he will say to me? He will say, you have to find out what you did to piss me off. And I was like,
That's stupid.
I'm
Sorry,
not psychic.
that's
If you don't
stupid.
tell me what I did wrong, how can I avoid it? And he will always give me the silent treatment.
Most Americans, especially guys our age, Mike, are problem solvers. You bring us a problem, we solve it, and we move on because we don't like wasting time on problems. And a lot of times, Filipinos, American women is both. They don't want the problem fixed. They just want to be heard, or they want you to spend time understanding that they have an issue. And for me, it's hard because I'm getting better at it, but used to I was tell me what the problem is. Okay, well this is what you do. Blah blah blah. And that sort of thing. But
Yeah, like we got to give our 2 cents worth, and sometimes they don't want the whole.
they don't want to be told. They just want to tell you what
Yeah.
they're
Have to be a good listener.
have their
Yeah.
have their moment. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're right, and I think that comes like I heard this one thing that as guys get older, we get a little bit more calm, and I think that has a lot to do with.
I think it-
because I'm definitely. I mean, I always say my wife got the best of me because I learned. I learned from my previous
Yeah, well,
mistakes.
Locus and I sometimes when I'm really on the edge of being resentful. I cannot talk to him directly of what I feel unless I shout myself out, And he will always tell me, "You don't have to shout. I'm just here. Just talk to me." And I said, while crying, bawling out, and I was like, I can't talk to you and tell you what I feel if I don't shout or cry, because we're not really raised voicing out.
Yeah.
So it's really hard
Well, I
for
think
us to
that's
tell
why
what's
people.
wrong.
You never hear about fights here until people get drunk. Then that's why they say after a drinking session. Whereas in the States, we'll just fight. It's sober.
Well, and the thing is, when you fight in the States, when you fight somebody, they end up being your best friend after the fight. You'll be
Look at us.
yeah, exactly. Good example. So that maturity thing, you think that's a lot of what gets misconstrued as Filipinos want security, they want to date mature men. You think that's a lot of why people misjudge it, thinking that the daddy issues and gold digger. Well, what is it about foreigners that is there a difference in the way that foreign men act? Your typical foreign guy. I'm not talking about your bar girl placeholder, the guy who goes to the bar every week, but is and we're not talking about, we're talking about your average Filipino in the province guy that makes 500 pesos a day or 300 pesos a day or whatever. Are they not mature, or do they are they raised different? What is it that you think causes that difference, if there's a difference?
Well, first off, in the family, daughters are raised early to do the household chores. We were given a task at an early age to do the dishes, to know how to wash the clothes, to cook the rice, cook the food. For the boys, actually just sits down and watch TV. And our family, or especially our mother, taught us that you have to know the household chores because soon you're gonna be a wife. And you don't want your husband bringing you back to us because you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to do the dishes. Well, they treat us differently with the boys. That's why a lot of the boys grew up immature. Douglas told me that in the US, you will be you can go to jail if you don't pay child support. Here you can have 14 eldest children in different women, and you can get away with it because the government will not push you to pay a child support. So a lot.
Not supporting your kids, especially in my part of the country, is really looked down on.
My brother.
You're a
pays,
dog.
My brother pays a shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I did too. I did too until Desmond came and lived with me. I was paying about $1,100 a month
Thankfully, I never.
30 years ago, 25 years
And
ago
having that
for one child.
Having that said, that's the reason why a lot of the Filipinas have daddy issues because of the immature guys who do that to their children. Don't even have any relationship to them.
Is that why that so many females in this country are single moms?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, guys. If you're coming here to date someone and you're not wanting to date someone that has kids, you just cut your territory. You cut the herd down by about 90% because
I was making fun of it, but if you wanted to, have a virgin to have a relationship with, go to the hospital, find a woman who just give
Just
birth
have
and
baby.
watch the baby grow up until she's 18 and date that. Because that's the reason why a lot of Filipinas are single mom because of the irresponsible guys. But I'm not downgrading Filipinos. There's still a lot of Filipino guys.
Good guys, yeah.
That's good guy and a good provider.
Yeah, I say
But
like
because
my
of-
wife's brothers.
Yeah.
They're with the same women they've been with, like Florente and Fernando. And I think that's because their father was like that. Because their father was a powerful guy, had a lot of money, but he stayed with the mom, you
Yeah.
know, and that's a tough thing to do here.
well,
I mean, even me as an American, I say this is a tough place to be a good guy.
your wife's family was in a little different class than the majority of the
Yeah.
Filipinos.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the
The lower.
I sell fish every
Yeah.
day or I harvest rice every day or I work down at the vulcanizing shop.
That's why I say family has a lot to do with the woman you pick here.
Yeah.
When guys come here, they need to really dig down on that. Otherwise, they're gonna have to be very understanding.
Yeah.
You know, like you guys have both had to be understanding about your relationship and my wife with mine, because then my wife comes from what I would say is a different background. You know, she's from an educated family, whereas me, I'm just
that's
a
also-
high school graduate.
And here also in the Philippines, the mother is the one uniting the family. If the mother gives up in the family, that's the end of it. So
Yeah.
we have a saying here in the Philippines that the women is the core of the family.
Yeah, that was that matriarchal.
Yeah, matriarch of the family. Yeah.
I see that. I mean, I would say that the women have even you know. And I think that's like what I talked about. If a guy comes here, do they want to be that involved in a life here? Do they come here just to cohabitate with somebody, like live a living partner, or do they want to come here and be married? Because if you want to come here and be married, you really have to understand how things work here.
Well, and it's a two-way, it's a two-side of the story. A lot of Filipinos think that when you have a foreign boyfriend or husband, they think that your life is good. Hell no! Dealing with Americans like you, this guy is so hard-headed before. I thought that he was really hard to deal with, but he was so frank and straightforward. When he didn't want something, he will tell it to my face. And I thought before that it's
Plain talk's easily understood.
yeah, I thought that before it was kind of offending on my part, but after a few years of being with him, I realized that no, that's just how they were.
Yeah, you know what though, you did adjust. You did make adjustments because you're not used to that aspect.
Yeah, especially if you're just dating a foreigner for the
That's right.
first time.
That's that
really
part
hard.
about having a smart woman. You know, when you come here, if you get a smart woman that can, because they do have to adjust. We have to adjust. So the guy has to be willing to make adjustments for your cultural norms.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to adjust to make exceptions for our cultural
Yeah.
norms, because our culture, we're very blunt.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a booger in your nose, we're going to tell you. You know, so
Especially you guys are so, complaining about everything.
Well,
That's-
but our
that's-
complaints are
it's
fixer
really valid
oriented.
though.
Yeah, we're
We
trying to
wanna
fix.
fix it.
That's why we're
That's how
complaining.
we-
Is
we
look,
work
I
it
thought
out.
I already took care of this once.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's also part of why I love being in a relationship with a foreigner. Is because before, when I go to grocery or to the pharmacy and someone cut the line in front of me, I'll just let it be, you know? I'm not in a hurry, I don't care. But ever since I've been with this guy, and he told me that if you pay for something, you get
What you pay for. Yeah,
If you're
time is money.
yeah, if the people will not respect your time, so do you. So after I get that voice, and after I have the ability to tell what I feel, I'm not letting anybody, cut the line or do something stupid in front of me.
And you know what? I think that says a lot too about the type of woman you pick, because my wife has got a backbone, and there's a lot of guys who come here and they don't want that. They do want the submissive woman. Whereas me, I looked for more of like a team partner, a teammate in this, because I need her to be able to advise me on things that ahead of time I'm living here. Whereas also I give her that I need that strength also,
Yeah.
like you needed
Yeah.
that.
Well,
a lot of guys don't.
it's
They're
different.
coming here and picking these women
It's
with no
different
brains.
though. If you came here to just tour around and be with multiple women, expect that you will get scammed either
Yeah,
way.
that's right.
But if you came here to have a family, a stable life, retire with just one person and love that person that you choose and love each other, then you will have a beautiful life here in the Philippines, especially, when you stay in this house or you move to beach area, move to the province. So it's different. So a lot of people that says that they get scammed with Filipina, you've been whoring around. So that's what you get.
Well, we're gonna take a quick break here in just a second. Want to invite you guys to subscribe to the show. Hit the subscribe button. Excuse me. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell. And leave us a comment down in the comments section, or you can email us at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. You are watching Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World, and guys, we'll be back with more in just a second. All right, guys, welcome back into the show. Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. I'm Douglas Bruce, along with Big Mike Fisher, and we're joined with April Amolo here. If you want to follow April on YouTube as well, Life and Spice with April. Life and Spice with April is her YouTube channel, and you guys can check out the videos she has over there. Also invite you to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and feel free to comment in the comments section. Big Mike, we were looking at the stats, April and I were, and surprisingly, we have more Filipinas watching the show than expats, or even our American audience. Our American audience was only 17%, and the majority was Filipinas from 18 to 40. 25 to 44 was the bulk, over 50% of our audience.
I would think that because they're tech savvy, here everybody's doing, and I don't think it has to do with and I think they like looking at stuff like that.
And they were curious.
Yeah.
I think
They're
they're curious about what two white guys living in the Philippines are talking about. They must be, I know that, being bald is super sexy. Big Michael attests to.
Well, I told him the other day, he said, do you think me cutting my hair like this is sexy? I said, well, right now, but before, when I first met you, that won't be sexy.
Yeah, when I first came here, I was on active duty, and I would shave it, and then when I retired, I thought I wanted to let my hair grow.
Yeah.
And I was flicking it back for maybe a year, and then I said, never mind.
I've been trying to get Big Mike to grow his beard out. See, keep his head shaved, grow his beard out, and then we can start a tag team wrestling team. We could be we could be the Philippine world champions.
On top spur,
Yeah.
but I would let it grow
Yeah,
out
I
some
have,
time.
I have a name for you, the
My
golden
miss-
beard.
Yeah, my Douglas Bruce starter kit.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's funny because I'm gonna have to change the graphics since I shaved my head. I had hair when the graphics were created, but no more. So I want to talk about some of the top questions that Filipinos might have or might need to ask. Want to talk about family and your friends' opinions and that sort of thing, but want to give some advice here on some of the questions that Filipinos should ask when you're met someone online and you're first starting to talk to them online, because a lot of relationships there in the Philippines, the Filipino foreigner relationship starts on Facebook or starts on somewhere on social media. Top 3 questions that I think that should be asked, and Mike and I, some of these are Mike's, is number 1, are you married? Is the man married? Is the foreigner married? Number 2, does he have kids? You know, what age they are? Are they little kids? You know, that are going to require responsibility, or are they grown? You know, my son's 36, so no. And do they want to live long term in the U.S. or in the Philippines or in their country? You know, Australia, wherever, Canada, whatever.
Those are the top questions I tell women to ask guys.
Yeah.
Are they just playing? Are they serious? You know, because most Filipino women don't want just for fun. They don't want to play.
They wanted the serious relationship.
That's right.
You know, especially with a foreigner. They don't wanna waste their English language talking to a foreigner and you not being serious and, you know, marrying us.
Well, would you agree that that's the top? Is there any other
Yeah,
questions that was at the top?
Well,
primarily top 3.
There's one naughty question about dating a foreigner, but we'll tackle
What's
that
the
later
question?
on.
What's the question?
Well, the size matter.
Yeah.
And is it white?
Is it white?
Is it white? in the-
I always say
I'm sorry.
the first time I went to the arena to fight roosters, I took my chickens to my first derby I ever went to. I went in the CR and it's a trough, and I'm standing up there peeing, and these guys are just sort of looking over. And I went in there and told Florent, I said, "They're all gay," and he was like, "No, they want to see if it's white."
I have a friend, Marge. I hope you're watching, but she's same age with me, 34. She's living alone here in Cebu City, and she used to have relationship with foreigners. And she told me the other day when she came over, she said that she met a black guy. The black guy is so nice, kind, generous, but one thing that's holding her back is the fear of, you know, can I take it?
Yeah.
Will it, you know, get me to an emergency room or what?
Be tripled. Well, you know, I think that me being American, you know, I think that is or if it's functional, you know, because I think a lot of women, I tell these girls, if you're young and you're still active, that's questions you have to ask too.
Well,
because guys come here and they're too old sometimes.
No offense to anyone, but you don't see a lot of Filipino men in porn movies as porn stars.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see a lot of Asian men as porn stars.
And
So
believe me, I am a Filipino and I don't want to watch a Filipino porn. Well, the other question there is asking question to a foreigner if they wanted to live in the Philippines or not.
Yeah, that's important.
Well, some of the Filipinos actually wanted to go abroad or live in, you know, overseas. But for me, I'd rather live here in the Philippines.
My wife too. That was one of my questions, you know, because I think the guy should have 10 questions he has to ask the woman, and she should have her 10 questions, because you got to see if you can meet in the middle. I told my wife, if you want to live in the U.S., I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
Because when I retire, I'm coming to the Philippines.
yeah, I came here to live here. I didn't come
That's
here to
right.
go back
That's right.
because you know, especially the the past few years. It's
And
it's
I
been really
think that
tough.
says a lot about my wife too. That my wife likes it here. She
Well, and
good here.
on the other side, some women don't want to leave their family. They want to stay
Yeah.
in the Philippines. They're not all up for going to the U.S. and you know, and a lot of I hate to say this, but a lot of women change when they get to the U.S.
Yeah.
A lot of
Especially
Filipinas.
when they have the green card already.
Yeah.
Sometimes they use foreigners as a leverage to
Yeah.
get green
I mean,
card.
it
used to be-
happens.
I remember in
Yeah.
the '80s, it was the Russian women. Remember that?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
Russian women
Ukrainian,
that-
Russian
would come
women,
there, would get
the
in the
mail
United
order
States.
brides.
That's right.
Yeah,
so
I
it was the
remember.
Russian women, but I think that's always gonna be an issue. I think that will always be an issue. But I do believe that if you're a good guy and you're good to a woman and you bring her back there and you're good to her, it works out because my wife had a friend that got with an older guy, and he's a wealthy guy, and she went back to the States, and they're still together. It's 15 years later, you know. And
Well, as long as a woman has good intentions, sometimes they don't have good intentions from the start. And like she said, you know, you're a means to an end. Ladies, now here's some of the questions the guys should be asking. Guys, if you're a foreigner, American, Brit, Canadian, Aussie, whatever, and you're having a relationship online with a woman, you need to know, number one, does she have a partner?
Yeah.
Is she when I say married, Filipino married is different than
The bed marriage.
yeah. Does she have a partner?
Yeah.
Because a lot of women are going online secretly in
And
the Philippines.
You know, it's
Plan B.
but
Looking for
they're
options.
Filipino guy. They're shopping your ass. You know.
actually, it's rare, but most of the time, Filipinos will allow their wife, their partner,
I've
to
seen it.
talk
I've
to
seen
an
it.
To talk to a foreigner.
I've seen it since I've
just
been
to
here.
extort money.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
We were at
How
Cordova.
crazy is that?
We were at Cordova Home Village
Mm-hmm.
in November on my son's birthday, and there was a woman there, a little skinny woman with 4 kids, and one of them was a baby. And the women that worked there told my wife, they said, "See that woman with the foreigner? She's married to a tricycle driver.
Yeah.
But every time that guy comes here, he stays here, and that woman will come with her kids and stay there for 2
And
weeks."
and then
Twice a year.
the Filipinos
Yeah.
will just
I've seen that.
The Filipinos will introduce the guy as their brother, cousin.
Yeah,
And
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've
the
seen it.
foreigner was just too naive because they were so in love with this little
Well,
Filipino.
yeah, but
They
who
didn't even know
who
that
would
they
think
were-
that was coming? I mean, I'm sorry, but in America we don't have any of that there, so we never heard of it.
Well,
You know,
that's a good.
I don't know a single American man that would let his wife date some other guy. You know,
That's a good thing as well here because in the Philippines, no, that's not really a good thing, but that's also part of the reason why
Well, survival.
why women
Oh,
is
yeah.
such a con artist because they need to do it. Or they need to do it to survive.
Yeah,
They need
survival, man.
they need to do it to feed their children.
So you really need to know their partnership situation, and that may take some investigation. You know, you may have to
yeah, some
find out, become friends with some of their friends and then
Yeah,
start
and some
asking questions or
Filipinas as
give a
well.
little bit of money to get some information.
you know this is one of the Americans will also think that she introduced me to her family, so I know I'm legal. Well, boy, you're not.
Yeah,
The family is backing up
They're in
the
on it
lie,
sometimes.
and sometimes they're on it just to get something out of you. And if you're not intelligent enough, and if you're not, if you're too naive to think that, I think they might be scamming you or something. Because when you're so in love and you really wanted to be with this Filipino girl, I know you guys were too naive to think, and you are
They
always
fall in love
kind
with
and generous.
they fall in love with the thoughts of being in love.
Well,
Yeah.
A lot of times
I
Americans
think
fall
that
in
they're
love.
just suckers, man. It's like the guys. Okay, there are guys who come here and only date prostitutes.
Yeah.
They pay for it, and they pay for it because they
don't want the hassle.
They don't
They don't
want the hassle.
Yeah, they
you know?
don't want to be in the
But then you've got
long-term
guys that have really no social skills, You know, they didn't date much in the States. They come here and they get hustled. And I think that's just going to be a part of life. You know, if that guy tried to date in the States, he might get scammed too, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that anytime you go outside of the United States to a country, it happens in Thailand. I'm in this Thailand group because me and my wife go to Pattaya all the time. We're in this Thailand group. And I see stuff pop up there all the time. And I'm just like, what are they thinking? You know, me, I'm a street smart guy. You're a street smart guy. We've been around the world. And I've quite literally been around the world. Who would allow themselves to get hustled like that? But I think that when you come here with good, no, because I left everything because I had that family that just wasn't good over people. So you have to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. A lot of guys just don't have, and it's, no offense, but a lot of guys that come here don't have a lot of experience with the female gender, and so they, you know, they're
And there's a lot of street smart people here because they're in survival mode.
they're in survival mode. You got a lot of us Americans have not seen shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, fortunately, I've
Philippines are
been around the
living-
block a few times, but
Well, and you know what, Bruce? I'm gonna be honest. Looks have a lot to do with it.
that's true.
A good like me. Anywhere in the world, I've never had a problem. But when I see these ugly guys come here, and they think that they can run some game, and they end up getting a game run on them by this cute little girl, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that does have a lot to do with it.
I'm not speaking against anybody or not dogging anybody, but you guys, they're on a whole another level when it comes to scamming your ass over here.
Well,
There's shit that you never would have thought of in a
And
million.
to be
We
fair,
should do a
as
show
well.
on that, though.
Yeah, and to be fair as well with the Filipina audience that we have, you know, there's also a lot of foreigners who that is not honest.
Yeah, I agree. That's
Sure,
what I'm
absolutely.
saying. Like you're absolutely right, and that was my point early on before we were talking. I was like, we got to touch on that. I'm glad you brought it up because I think a lot of guys come here. In fact, I tell the women when you're chatting with a guy that you think is serious, let him show you around the house.
Yeah.
Because if he won't show you around the house, a lot of times he's hiding in his bed because his wife is in the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah, or he's in his mom's
Girlfriend.
basement.
That's right.
Yeah.
He still lives at home with mom, which is not a American desirable trait.
Yeah, and guys come here for only 2 weeks out of the year, and they think they're
Yeah.
keeping this girlfriend, but they already have a family in the States.
Yeah.
So, or they got 2 girlfriends. They come here, the one in Mindanao, then they go see the one that's in Sikihor, and they got the one in Peru. So, you know, guys are doing shit too. That's why when they talk about scams here, and you said it, you said it's 90% the opposite way, so 10% foreigner scam. But I think that the women have to be smart also.
Well, that's what, and that's why we've asked these questions. My second question that I would have the guys ask is about kids. Do they have kids? A lot of Filipinos will lie to you and tell you, no, I don't have any
Yeah,
kids.
this is my-
That's my niece, my nephew. Exactly.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you some of the reason why we don't tell honestly
Which
if
is
we have
weird because
kids.
Americans don't care.
No, but they think we do because the guy
that's-
said in conversation,
Yeah, that's the
well,
thing.
no, I'm not really into kids. I really don't want, or I want to have kids of my own. I don't want to,
Yeah, if they got a hint of that conversation with the guy, what they will do is try to hide if they have kids. But if the foreigner talks to the woman and asks the woman if do you have kids, I don't mind if you have kids.
Yeah.
So they will be honest. Because part of the reason why we want to be honest to is we don't want to hide our kids.
Yeah, and even if the guy says no, I'm not interested in kids, good, cut him off.
Yeah, cut him
because there's so many people available.
That's not the guy
nowadays,
for you.
And I think
Yeah.
that the red flags start with the lies, man.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because that old deal where you ask a Filipina, does she have a kid? And she says, no, I don't have a kid. It turns out she has 4. In her mind, well, I wasn't really lying. I didn't have a kid. I had 4 kids.
We see it. My wife watches that Tofo guy all the time, and there was one a while back I was watching, and the guy said that he was sending money to this woman, and turns out that the kid wasn't his, and when he got there was 3 other kids, and I said, how the hell does this stuff happen, man?
He's a mix of Geraldo and Jerry Springer, you know,
Yeah.
Filipino style.
Yeah, but with legal capacity.
Yeah, yeah, he
because
actually-
can take them to court.
Yeah.
And do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The last one, you know, I would ask is does she have a career? You can tell a lot about a woman's status is if she works, what she works at, if she has a career, you know, did she go to college? Does she have a college degree? You know, so there's a lot you can tell about.
Yeah, because college degree is commitment.
Yeah.
You know, it means that they're willing to start something.
Well, and it means that they have some form of money management.
Yeah.
They've been able to come up with the money to be able to go to college and get an education. Let's get into the family thing because it's such a cultural difference in the U.S. and a lot of countries, especially the U.S. The commitment to your parents ends. It used to be when you turned 18 and got your ass out of the house, but when you're out of the house, when you're gone off to just college or you've got your own job and you've moved into your own apartment, that's pretty much the end of your commitment with your
Either
parents.
way.
Yeah, either way. You know, they might help you out sometimes. You might, you know, as long as you visit once in a while, they're cool with it. If you got family, they want to see the grandkids or whatever, but I can promise you, your mom and dad doesn't really want you to move back in, and believe me, you don't want to move back in with your mom and dad either. You know, we're raised very independently, especially our generation, Mike. Raised very, you know, the minute I got wheels, I was gone. The minute I turned, you know, 16
I was
and out
in
of
Hawaii when I left home. My dad was stationed in Hawaii. I graduated high school. I hung around 6 months. We kind of had this conversation, you know, either you're going to pay rent or something like that, or you're, you know, and I was like,
and you're like,
it's
yeah.
time to sell everything.
Well, you know, if I'm going to pay rent, then I'm going to pay it somewhere else where I can do what I want to
had a
do.
57 Chevy at the time, and I sold it, you know, and sold everything I had really and bought a ticket to the U.S.
My house, my rules.
That's
By God,
Yeah.
that was the thing. So Americans have a different percent. Filipinas are expected to take care of their parents. They are their parents' retirement fund in a lot of cases. And when they have a foreign partner, a lot of times that foreigner gets, for lack of a better word, dragged into being financial support for the family. What do you think about that? Now you've known the Filipino perspective, and you've also lived with me for long enough to see both sides of the coin. So tell us about that.
Well, first of all, Filipinos are so family oriented. You know, you have seen that. One house, you know, 8, 9, 10 people living in one house with one bedroom. So
That is, even my wife is they were raised different. That's them. They all live in the one compound.
Yeah.
They just build a different house.
and having that situation, and I don't want to say this to offend the Filipinos, but most of the parents just keeps on having kids because they think that the more they have kids, the more
like your-
retirement plan they will
That's
have.
like your 401k. You keep adding money to it.
But the thing is, especially I've experienced it firsthand as well. The more you have kids, the more opportunity you will be able to give them education-wise, food-wise, you know, and it's really hard for the kids to carry the burden of taking care of your family, especially you know, in the US, your parents will have a retirement plan. Here in the Philippines, no, they will have senior retirement plan for 1,200, 1,000 a month from the government.
Social Security.
But Social Security, rarely
$20,
rarely you
$20.
will have a parent that
Yeah.
really have an insurance or retirement
Yeah,
plan.
my wife's father had a decent pension, you know, from San Miguel, and now the mother has that, but still, it's not. You know, Bruce, I'm gonna tell you, man, I like that aspect of this culture I do, and that's why I tell my wife I'm raising my kids in that aspect to where I don't want them to leave. I'll build a bigger house if they choose. However, Vincent wants to go back and join the military, but I like that because there's no nursing home here.
Yeah.
You know, there's no age home for the age here. You know,
But,
the elderly.
yeah, the downside.
So I think that has to be thought of. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
go ahead, the downside.
There's a downside on that because in the family, the one who's not successful, the one who didn't go to college, especially the women that will turn to be an old maid for being responsible for their siblings, sending their siblings to school, prioritizing their family first before
Yeah, I've
them,
seen
will end up being the one who
They
will
never have a life of their own.
They never have a life of their own.
I've seen it. The
Yeah.
guy in our neighborhood, he just died. He was a young guy, man, had a heart attack and died. But he was the one that didn't go to college. They lived in a house. The brother works abroad, pays for
Yeah.
the house, but he's the one that was taking care of the
Very.
old guy.
Yeah.
You know, watch the guy's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then when he had a heart attack and died, they had to get another relative. So they say, okay, who's the other relative that's not working? And then they bring
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that guy there. So you're right about that. It ends up being the one that.
And it's hard dragging an American with it because I told my family firsthand, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna drag Douglas financially into our family. Oh, good thing about my family is they don't ask anything unless it's really an emergency. And Douglas will be dragging my ass out, wanting me to tell him what's wrong because I'm not even gonna say what's
Yeah,
wrong.
but I want to have the opportunity to make that decision on my own. Am I in a position to do something? If I am in a position to do something at this time, do I think it's a worthy enough situation that I want to get involved in it? You know,
My
okay, is
family
everybody
has-
else paying their fair share?
That's right. I was going to say my family has a unique perspective on things, and that's how they do it. You know, if there's something that needs to be done, they each have a share.
Chip in.
So it's my wife has. It's not the Mike's share. It's her share of it. You know, like if the land taxes due.
You've got a little different situation though. One, first thing you did was you rented an apartment and moved away from her parents.
Yeah.
So you did get out of that
Yeah,
situation. You didn't move in with them.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Well,
That
see,
first.
see, and you know, even the Bible says that when a man marries a woman, him and her are supposed to cling to each other, and get away from their family and start their own family. And I understand the wanting them to live with you and all of that, and I love that concept too. If my kids were here, if Desmond was here, if Axel, all live in one big compound, but that needs to be something where that's what everybody wants to do, not fucking guilted into it
Yeah, 'cause a
by
lot-
by somebody's
Yeah,
parents
Filipinos are so great with guilt tripping.
or by
especially
your
the
poor
parents.
ass sister-in-law
Yeah.
that wants you
Well,
to
that's-
build a jacuzzi or a pool in the backyard.
Right, I just seen it with that old guy. Just helped move. You know,
Well-
that's what basically what treat a guy bad for so many years, and then when shit hits the fan,
Expect him to
That's
step up
right.
and pay the
Yeah.
money.
and
Well,
he was
that-
like,
that's-
enough is enough.
Well, that's the part that you really have to choose a Filipina that will be your partner, not just your
She's got
girlfriend.
it. She's, in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of it. She's got to have your back
Yeah.
and not be so attached or guilted, because
Well, Americans are generous. If there's
They
something
are,
wrong,
and-
we're
and-
gonna help,
and-
but don't force
Don't-
our
and
hand.
Yeah.
Don't try to force our
Filipino
hand.
moms, no offense, but you look up the word guilt trip and it's got a Filipino woman beside it. They ain't nobody can guilt trip people like, oh, I was in labor for 36 hours and
Yeah,
I've heard it. I've heard it all
I
before.
remember when I was young. I remember when I was young because this is the ordeal every Christmas when you were young. Every Christmas when you were young, you will go to your godparents' house. They'll give you money, you know, and of course, being a child, you were so happy. Oh, I have money. And then when you go home, your mom was like, why do I take care of it and put it aside?
Let me keep it
And
for
then one day you will ask your parents, especially your mom, Mom, can I take the money that I have, you know, my godparents gave me last Christmas? Your parents was like, do you want me to count how much diaper, how much milk, the money that I spent
food
when
I
I
sent you to- yeah.
get you to school? All those
Guilt trip.
things.
You know
Guilt
what?
tripping, one of
My wife can lay it on the boys, man. When they start,
Oh, yeah.
you know, she's like, you know what your father does? Yeah, you're right about that.
You look up guilt trip in the encyclopedia. It's got a Filipino woman beside it, and you know even
I call
the,
it verbal abuse.
Well,
Well,
like-
nobody can verbally abuse my wife.
you know, if you want to get an inside perspective on Filipinos mothers, listen to Joe Coy sometime. The
Oh, yeah.
comedian Joe Coy. He's absolutely hilarious, and he talks about his mother all the time and his sister and you know.
you know, he said that her sister get out of the house 18 because she's gonna live with this boyfriend. He didn't want to deal
Yeah.
with her mother's
Yeah.
rule. My house, my rule. Oh well, yeah, I'm 18 now. I'm working in Wendy's and I'm a supervisor. I have the money now to move out and I'm never ever coming back.
Yeah, and then he was like, oh, you're giving your peck to all the foreigners. You know? So now on the other side of that, Big Mike, should a guy, if he's going to have a girlfriend here, should he expect some financial responsibility with the family? May not necessarily be the thing he wants to do, but is it the smart move? Because sometimes, you know, greasing the wheel just a little bit will make the things run smoother.
Well, they gotta be smart about it though, because we all want to. Like me, I have kids. Once you have kids, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever, you know, because you say your family comes first, you know. But if a guy's here and he has a little bit of extra cash, what I would recommend is they do everything through the wife or the girlfriend. If they want to help out, they give her a little bit of cash. They say, look, this is your allowance. This is what I'm willing to give you every month at the first of the month, because I choose for you not to work, and I want you to stay with me. So I'll give you this. That way she has her own money. If you want to give them something out of that, that's on you. You know, and the way to do that is think about what her normal salary would be. If she's, you know, qualified for something, like I said, I have kids, so all bets are off. But even me, I give my wife money at the first of every month, a certain amount that, you know, I call her maintenance, you know, and that's just because me and my wife had a thing one time. I pay for everything, you know, and because I pay for everything, I just didn't think nothing of it. And then one time my wife made this comment, I hate asking you for money. And I was like, it's your money. What do you mean? My money is your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, she's like, yeah, but, and I said, that's that cultural thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember her saying something that her mom had this thing with the father that she hated to ask for money, and I was like, oh, because he doesn't see it the way I do. His money was his money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he didn't see it that way.
Even April, you know, says sometimes about, you know, I'd like to have my own money, and I'm like, you have all the credit cards, you have the ATM machine, there's an ATM card, you have all the cards, you have your own bank account. I never know how much money we have and what we don't have.
Yeah.
You know, I have to ask her, hey, you know, I don't like managing money. I like making money, but I don't like keeping up with it. Now you can't do that in every relationship, guys,
Yeah.
because you'll get taken. But I'm with a woman that I have proven over and over that I can trust, especially, you know, with our finances. She's looking out for us and not anybody else. But even her sometimes says, you know, she's got that thing about, you know, well, I don't want to spend the money without asking you about it, and I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
but it's in little things. It's certainly not, you know, if you want
Well, I think
a blouse or something, or a new outfit, just buy it. You don't have to tell
My
me
wife,
about it.
Babe, I have a Lazada coming. Oh, how much? Luckily things are kind of cheap here. My
Yeah,
wife's
they
not
are.
a big spender, so I just laugh about it. Like, oh, the secret Lazada delivery, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
Douglas was a Shein guy. Because most of
Yeah, she
the
buys a lot of stuff from Shein.
most
Yeah,
of
my wife
Shein
too.
guy the Shein company has my size.
Mm.
Okay. I'm more comfortable ordering there than in Lazada.
I think communication is a big thing when it comes to finances because Americans hate
yeah.
talking about money,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Filipinos hate talking about money
Yeah.
too. So you have to find what
You
you're
have to
willing
find
to
a common
do.
ground.
Communication and everything.
Yeah, because if you want her to give something to the family, don't be the one that does it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're talking about from rice to romance, the difficulties being a Filipina or being a foreigner and dating someone from another country. There's a lot of cultural differences, and there's a lot of stuff that Americans have to get used to, or the foreigner has to get used to. A lot of stuff the Filipino has to get used to with that type of situation. I want to mention, guys, you can. If you are enjoying the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Like I said, about 70% of our watchers thus far on this channel have not subscribed, and so it would be a big help to keeping us
I wonder
going.
why though?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
like when they look at it, I mean, they're watching it. Like on this
Yeah.
recent one, we've had 1,800 views. That's a lot. I mean, we used to get a lot of views on our.
Oh, we get 10,000 views in
yeah,
a day
on our
on the
fighting cock thing.
game file
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
But
yeah.
this one, I thought would, we're putting out some good information and people are watching it. But I wonder what's the.
Well, a lot of it is there's so much competition in this lane.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and
People,
it'll
guys
flood your-
talking about
it'll flood your
yeah,
feed.
yeah, and you have to really watch the algorithm and to build a channel like this. So, but guys, if you would hit the subscribe button. Like I said, about 70% of you have not subscribed. So do me a huge favor and help keep us going by hitting the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so when we come out with something new, we're going to be doing some more shorts in the near future and some other things. So hit the notification bell, and you can email us at Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. If you're enjoying April and her perspective, Life and Spice with April is her channel. You can go over to YouTube at Life and Spice with April, and she's got a lot of fun videos on
Yeah.
there.
My silly side.
Yep. Her more silly side and some of the things that she has over on that channel. Lastly, I want to ask you, April, about and Big Mike, you can talk about this too. What people have to give up when when a Filipina is with a foreigner. What are some of the things she's going to have to give up? And then Big Mike will ask you the same question. What is a guy going to have to realize, and the compromises he's going to have to make? April?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot that you have to give up if you really want it to be 100% into a relationship. Because because me and Douglas moved here to Cebu, so I had to give up my family, which I really did.
Yeah, because you had a choice.
Yeah, I
he
had
said,
a choice.
"Look,
yeah.
I think I remember when you guys came here to visit, and when
Yeah.
you mentioned it,
I left it up to her, the final
Yeah.
decision.
Right.
And second is I had to give up my acquaintances. That the so-called friends of yours that's not really good. That's gonna be that
Yeah, we
they're
talked about that.
Yeah.
Having what type of solid friends you really need.
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, there's a whole episode in just
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have-
you know that they're gonna be a problem in your relationship, so I had to cut it off.
Yeah, but I think that's being able to look ahead too. You
Yeah.
know, because like you asking her, like, hey, look, you want to go to Cebu, we can do it. He'll leave it up to you, and you had the balls to say, yeah, you know what?
I had lived here before, so I knew I could live here. And actually, Cebu had gotten a lot better, in my opinion. It's a lot better place to live than it was 5-6 years ago. The city's changed a lot. It's a lot more convenient. A lot easier to get around now, and the streets are a lot cleaner, and things that were little pet peeves of mine. A lot of them have changed.
Well,
So I knew I could live here, but I wasn't sure if her ties with Quezon Province, with being that far away and all of that,
No, it's not really. I don't care where I live. As I said earlier,
Well, that's
where
it.
Douglas is, that's my home.
So what you're saying, I think, is that independence. You know what I
Independence,
mean?
yeah.
She has that independence that
And it's
that fits your
yeah,
lifestyle too.
it's really not giving up. It's more of what you want, what you're really wanting to give into the relationship.
And I think that's a big factor in what American guys like. I mean, the guys I see that in my groups that pick those women that are dependent is because even my wife is independent, you know, in that aspect. Because by picking me, I'm different than what I'm not the norm,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that's a big factor too.
I've always had the perspective on relationship, and I've always been a relationship kind of guy.
Me too.
My aspect of relationship is you both give up your individuality
Yeah.
and become a unit, and you make decisions what's best for the unit. Now each of you try to compromise and do what you think the other one wants, but ultimately the decisions are what's best for the unit. What's best for the unit? Should she work? Should she not work? Which is
Because you
better
guys
for
had that
us?
conversation about
Multiple
about her
times
working. And my wife is a teacher, an English teacher. Her major was linguistics, and I think that when I knew that when I talked to her, she was like, I'm like next week I graduate college. When we were talking about getting back to getting in touch again, cause I started asking my questions because I had knew her in 2007, and she was like, oh, I'm going to graduate now. I'm finished with my college. And I said, hey, look, if you're wanting to go and work, I retire in November. If you want to work as a teacher from now until November, this is May, I think, or February is when we start talking again. If you want to work as a teacher, you can, but once I retire,
I want your full attention.
I don't want a woman that's going to work. And
Yeah.
she's like, okay, and that's come up a few times in our relationship. Like, she thought about working. I was like, hey, look, this is one of my things that we talked about, so we can rehash this. But so I think that women do, guys got to give up stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, I look, I was never good at being single. I was single and I wasn't good at it because I like relationships.
Yeah.
When I try to be single, I end up just wanting a relationship anyway. So I think that women have to know what the guy's looking for.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing. Like, the women have to wonder what the guy's looking for.
To be honest as well, you have the women as well needs to ask and tell the guy what they needed and what they wanted.
And reevaluate.
Yeah.
I think that's another one too. Reevaluate, because we're different. You guys have come different in the 2 years, and even me and my wife over 15 years, we constantly like last night. I went to yesterday. I go to Bohol, drop the guy's stuff off. My wife said, "Babe, why don't you just find a hotel and come in the morning?" I was like, "No, I want to be home." There's a lot of guys be like, "Oh, I'm getting in a hotel,"
Yeah.
and not that I would go wild or anything like that. But that also, I said, but I'm in a good spot where I have a wife that I want to get home to.
Yeah.
I want to get home to my kids, even just one night away.
Actually want to sleep in your bed.
Yeah. And I was like, God, I've come a long way, man, because I was such a dog in the past. And it's a good feeling, though. I hope that everybody can get that.
Well, guys, as we're wrapping this up, one of the things a couple of things that I've heard you say, one is Filipinas need to come out of their shell and not be afraid to ask the foreigner directly what it is, or tell him what they need or what they're looking for. Especially online, it's different than meeting someone in person.
It's dating.
It's
online is actually dating. That's your opportunity right there. Every time you chat with them,
it is,
you're on a date.
but you got to do it differently.
That's
You
right.
can read body language when you're seeing someone all the time, and you can get a feel for somebody in person that you can't get in an hour conversation every
Even
night.
if you're talking 24 hours over the phone.
Yeah,
So
it's
your questions
not
are
the
really
same.
important.
Yeah, and you're being honest about
Everything.
about everything. You telling someone, hey, if you don't tell them up front, it ain't going to get no better in the end. It's going to
Yeah.
get worse. Whatever you hide now, that damn seed will grow into a freaking oak tree.
That's right.
Been
You
there,
know,
done that.
You know, it'll be a huge oak tree, and you'll end up regretting. You know, it'd been easier if you'd have just told them up front and take the chance. Hey, they're out of here.
That's what my friend said to me yesterday. He said, you know, I never thought I would leave. He says, I'm not a cheater. He said, I always thought things would get better. And that's proof, you know, that if something's the way it is, you know, a leopard can't change his spots. But then I look at myself and I evolved, you know, went from that to this. But I think that people have to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
And if those questions, if you don't get those questions answered,
I think,
move on.
Yeah, I think part of it why people go separate, in their lives is because they build resentment.
Oh yeah.
They build resentment towards each other, and that's Douglas and I was always fixing. I will feel if he's,
I
building
saw
up
it.
resentment.
Actually, that's what I saw.
Yeah, and
That
he
guy
will
resented
tell
that
me
woman.
as well. And
You're absolutely
being a
right.
Filipina, it's really hard. It's really hard to get out of your shell.
Mm.
So what happened is you just build resentment.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to let the Filipina knows that foreigners is so easy to talk to. When you come up to them and you being honest on what you feel, don't think that you will offend them. You're not. Basically,
They're hard to offend.
yeah, and honestly, they will appreciate you more for
Yeah.
telling them what you really feel. Because, you don't want to walk in an eggshell.
I don't want to work on the wrong problem. If you lie to me about what the problem is, and I'm trying to sort
be
out
shy.
this,
Yeah, and
and
also-
turns out that's not even the problem, and I've been wasting my time and
Yeah,
effort.
That also mean what you say.
Yep.
If you don't want one thing, don't say the other thing to your partner or your boyfriend.
Yeah, don't
or
reverse
husband.
We've really learned.
Yeah.
April and I have really learned to. I'll ask her or I'll tell her, babe, I'm feeling like you're a little short with me on things, or is there something you got resentment about? Have I done something, or is it build up? And she'll do the same thing, babe. You're being a little bit of an asshole, and
You're getting into my nerves.
I just want to know what's going on with you. What is it? And then I'll tell her, oh, babe, well, the other day this happened and you did that, or you said that.
Sometimes you don't have to talk back or give
No,
your
just clear the
perspective.
air. Just clear the air.
And listen. Just listen. Sometimes on my part, I don't want him talking when I'm talking. This is my moment.
What are you saying? Tell me
Just
what
give
you're
it to
saying.
me. Don't cut me off, because I will.
And that's it, guys. We're going to wrap up the.
You're gonna get a beating
Sex, be
later.
quiet.
Yeah.
You freak out when I be
Well,
quiet.
I think that's what a lot of guys need to like. There are guys that are good listeners,
Yeah.
and that was definitely not me, because I'd like to give my 2 cents on everything.
You're 98 cents. 98 cents out of the dollar.
So
Yeah, that was
I
me.
think that takes a lot of, and it's funny you bring that up. Yeah, because I'm guilty as charged. So I think that's, but I think if the significant other, the Filipino, is willing to step in and comment and communicate, I think guys are receptive
Yeah.
to it.
Well, communication will really take you a long way.
Yep.
If you really wanted your relationship to succeed, learn how to communicate.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the basic.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, that's the basic
That's a number-
foundation
that's a
on
number
every
one.
relationship.
Yeah, number one for sure.
Communication.
The other thing that I want to highlight that we talked about here, and then we'll wrap this up, is guys, Filipinas aren't. Now it depends on your situation, but in a lot of cases, the thing about Filipinos are looking for security.
Yeah.
They're looking for maturity, security,
Stability.
responsibility, stability, and don't confuse that every time for her just wanting me for my money.
Yeah.
There's a way you can manage it yourself, where that you're giving her stability, without turning over the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
You know, certainly in the beginning of a relationship, you know, let it get some time in it, 6 months in or whatever, and feel it out. You know, and you can tell her up front, guess what, babe? I'm not made of money. I'm not the human ATM machine.
Yeah.
And be honest with her. But hey, you know, I'm not rich. I just play rich on TV. So you know, yeah, I can afford a meal, but you know, I'm not going through the couch cushions looking for pesos. But you know, there are limits to my ability and generosity. So you know, it's all communication.
Yeah, and you have to make sure as well that, you know, I'm talking about the Filipinas talking to your foreign partners. It's because the first time that you will meet your foreign partner, of course, they will impress you to death.
Sure.
They'll buy you everything, give you everything you wanted, but you know, the second time that they will, yeah,
Make it rain, baby, make it rain.
and then you will be confused as a Filipina. Oh, yeah, this guy has money.
Yeah.
This guy will be able to give me everything I wanted. Well, girl, they were just impressing you. Sometimes if they get what they want, you're done.
All in.
Yeah, yeah.
So you just have both the
Find the
Filipina.
sweet spot.
Well, don't be overly impressed just because he takes you somewhere other than the point.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, if he takes you actually to Jollibee or someplace nicer, you know, don't.
Yeah, you're right. Guys do come here and throw it around a lot.
Well,
when they first
sure.
come here.
Well, I
And
mean, we're
think
getting
that
the
puts
attention from the
That's
beautiful
right.
women that
Yep.
typically a lot of guys don't get in the States.
Comes
but-
here and shoots his wad in the first week, and then the second week.
Literally. Yeah.
But that's so money for ano, for that Mexican song and dinero kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The senoritas don't caro when there's no dinero. That's definitely it. It's like that here too.
The only thing that I can suggest or advise to a Filipina is when you're dating a foreigner, just ask yourself as well, what do you want? Ask yourself
Out of the relationship.
if you're really into a relationship. Guys, if the guy is giving you all the attention, giving you everything on, you know, what they own and trying to be generous and kind, don't fucking messed up. I tried that before because I know that Filipinas is so walang tiwala minsan. I'm gonna say it in Tagalog. You know, Filipino, when it's too good to be true, they tend to fuck things up. A lot of Filipinos are self-destructive.
Well, it's easy to fall back into that when your old partner
Yeah.
comes around
Foreigners are
and
like that too, though. I mean, me and you, we both talked about nobody can self-destruct like me. You know?
yeah, exactly.
So I had to not fall back into my tendency because this is a tough place to be good.
Yeah,
There's so
yeah,
many,
it is.
you know, like yesterday. That's what I told my buddy over there in Bohol. I was like, man, look, there's so many beautiful women there. It's hard for guys to stay focused. So, yeah, Filipino and foreigners, when you come here and you get a woman that treats you good and takes care of you, and then you see another hot chick walk by, you know, that's going to happen here. I mean,
Yeah.
it happens all the time. I've had to put myself in check a few times here. So that goes for foreigners too. You know,
Yeah.
when you come here, you find a good woman that treats you good, treat her good too.
Yep, be good to each other, guys. Guys, we're out of time. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something maybe that you didn't know before. You know, from rice to romance, it can happen. Not every time, but it does happen. It's happened for Big Mike. It's happened for me and April. Guys, once again, we want to invite you to subscribe to the show, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. If you want to visit April's YouTube channel, Life and Spice with April, or you can email me and Big Mike or comment. Our email address is Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. Guys, we really appreciate you tuning in. We love you. Thank you for all the advice. April, I'm going to give you the last word.
Go.
Peace out. We'll see you guys next time.
He put you on the spot, man.